From Manila to the globe, this is World Newsfeed, bringing you the biggest stories shaping our times. Good morning, I'm Raine Musñgi. Let's dive into the headlines making a global impact. Programming to bring you some important updates on Tropical Storm Kristine. We're looking at live pictures from Manila's main thoroughfare, EDSA, as well as the vehicular flow around Commonwealth Avenue. Later on, we're seeing the effects of the rains on traffic and the flow of commuters. The national government had canceled classes at all levels for the whole of Luzon, along with work at public offices. But the Senate will proceed with some hearings today, including the inquiry into the cases slapped against Pastor Apollo Kibuloy. BNC will be airing that live anytime now and throughout the day. Well, Typhoon Kristine is expected to make landfall over Aurora Isabela tonight. Our Francis Falve was in Aurora Province, where a state of calamity has been declared, and he filed this report.
Cagayan, Isabela, Nueva Ecija, and the province of Aurora is still under storm signal number 2. There were scattered moderate to heavy rains here since yesterday. It's a foggy and rainy Wednesday morning in most parts of Aurora. Classes were suspended and most residents stay at home. There is no strong winds, but the local DRRMO is prepared for the possible effects of Tropical Storm Kristine. The inclement weather caused by the storm has affected the fishing and tourism activities in the province. The PDRRMO also said that the whole province is under alert status blue, which means that the Emergency Operations Center here is open 24 hours. Meanwhile, the local Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office in Baler have met for a pre-disaster risk assessment. On our way here, we had a stop at the Pantabangan Dam, and the water level there is still normal. We also monitored the situation in the province of Isabela, and according to their PDRRMO, they have been experiencing heavy rains there since 10 p.m. last night. The downpour stopped at around 4 o'clock this morning, but again it rained with strong winds since past 5 o'clock this morning. No forced evacuation is yet to be implemented, but evacuation centers are all ready. We also got information that Magat Dam already opened one spill gate yesterday, which caused floods in some areas. It is also important to release the excess water in anticipation of more rains brought about by Typhoon Kristine.
Well, the Bicol Region has been placed under red alert status by the Regional Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council in response to Tropical Storm Kristine. That's as it intensified into a tropical storm coming from a depression. The Office of the Civil Defense said the Charlie Protocol signifies the highest state of emergency preparedness, necessitating immediate action from both the regional and local DRRMCs to protect communities and ensure an effective and timely response. The local government of Albay has ordered the evacuation of the residents vulnerable to flooding, landslide, and lahar flow from Mayon volcano.
Yung mga lugar dati na hindi naman talaga binabaha, ngayong bagyong Kristine ay talagang baha.
Well, here's the latest on Tropical Storm Kristine. As the tropical storm approaches the Philippine landmass, many areas in Luzon and Visayas are now under tropical cyclone wind signal warnings. Signal number 2 is up in most parts of Luzon, particularly in Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, Pangasinan, Apayao, Abra, Kalinga, Mountain Province, Ifugao, Benguet, Mainland Cagayan, Isabela, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya, Aurora, Nueva Ecija, Tarlac, the northern portion of Zambales, the northern portion of Bulacan, the northern portion of Quezon, including the Polillo Islands, Camarines Norte, northern and eastern portions of Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, eastern Albay, and the eastern portion of Sorsogon. In Visayas, signal number 2 has been hoisted over the northeastern portion of northern Samar, as well as the northern portion of eastern Samar, while Signal number 2 will also be felt with winds of up to 88 kilometers per hour with some expected torrential rains. In Luzon, signal number 1 has been raised over Batanes, Babuyan Islands, Pampanga, the rest of Zambales, Bataan, the rest of Bulacan, Metro Manila, Rizal, Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, the rest of Quezon, Occidental, Mindoro, including Lubang Islands, Oriental Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, Calamian Islands, the rest of Camarines Sur, the rest of Albay, the rest of Sorsogon, Masbate, including Ticao and Burias Islands, and the Calamian Islands. While in the Visayas, signal number 1 is up over Aklan, Capiz, Antique, including Caluya Islands, Iloilo, Guimaras, the northern portion of Negros Occidental, northern portion of Negros Oriental, as well as the northern and central portions of Cebu. That includes the Bantayan Islands, Camotes Islands, Bohol, the rest of eastern Samar, the rest of northern Samar, Leyte, Biliran, and southern Leyte. Finally, in Mindanao, signal number 1 is also up over Dinagat Islands and Surigao del Norte, including Siargao, Bucas Grande Group. Areas under signal number 1 will experience gusty winds of up to 60 kilometers per hour, and residents should prepare for heavy to intense rains. While the red warning level is up over Catanduanes, Camarines Sur, Camarines Norte, Albay, and torrential rains will persist within the next 3 hours. Serious flooding is expected in low-lying areas and landslides in mountainous areas. The Public and Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Councils are advised to take appropriate actions, monitor weather conditions, and watch for the next advisory. Meanwhile, orange rainfall warnings have been declared over Quezon and Sorsogon. There, you should expect heavy to intense rains, and they will persist within the next 3 hours. Flooding is threatening low-lying areas and river channels. Landslides could also be witnessed in those areas. Flooding may threaten low-lying areas, landslides in the mountainous parts. Meanwhile, Pagasa also issued yellow rainfall warning signals over Cagayan, including the Babuyan Group of Islands, Isabela, Quirino, Aurora, Apayao, Ilocos Norte, Laguna, Metro Manila, Rizal, Batangas, Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Cavite, Tarlac, Occidental Mindoro, Negros Oriental, Siquijor, Samar, Biliran, Leyte, Southern Leyte, Capiz, and Iloilo. In these areas, light to moderate rains may persist in the next 3 hours, and flooding is possible in low-lying areas and near river channels. All areas mentioned under red, orange, and yellow rainfall warning signals are at risk of road and street flooding, rising water in small rivers, creeks, water confinement in low-lying residential areas, water impoundment in the farmland, and the overflowing of the spillway. Residents are advised to monitor updates on the weather and listen to local authorities for necessary actions to be taken. Well, currency trading in the Philippines has been canceled today due to the suspension of government work and classes in Luzon caused by Tropical Storm Kristine. Malacanang announced that agencies responsible for providing basic and health services, as well as those in disaster response and preparedness, will continue operations. Work suspensions for private companies, however, are left at their discretion. Several areas in Luzon and Visayas are now under, again, signal number 2. As Tropical Storm Kristine gains strength, the storm is expected to intensify into a severe tropical storm before making landfall in Isabela or northern Aurora either later tonight or Thursday morning. In other stories, China is accused of running a covert disinformation campaign targeting Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. amid rising tensions in the South China Sea. The Australian Strategic Policy Institute has linked Beijing to a deepfake video falsely portraying Marcos as a drug user, raising concerns about efforts to discredit the Philippine leader and destabilize the region. Our Foreign Affairs editor, Jam Alindogan, reports.
There are growing fears that the South China Sea appears to be edging closer to a full-blown crisis. Tensions are escalating as China's aggressive moves against the Philippines intensify. Filipino vessels encounter frequent harassment at key locations such as the Second Thomas Shoal and Scarborough Shoal. What began as a simmering dispute has become the region's most volatile flashpoint.
While incursions in the South China Sea continue between the naval forces of the Philippines and China, another battle rages in the information sphere, one that is harder to trace and where China once again holds the upper hand.
China is accused of running a coordinated covert disinformation campaign aimed at discrediting Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos and stoking tensions in the contested waters. The Australian Strategic Policy Institute, or ASPI, is a policy think tank based in Canberra in Australia. It says it has linked the Chinese government to a deepfake video falsely depicting the president as a drug user. Released just hours before his State of the Nation address, the video spread rapidly online, particularly among followers of former President Rodrigo Duterte. ASPI says that a network of coordinated inauthentic accounts on platforms like X and YouTube amplified the false story. These social media accounts are believed to be tied to China. The effort also appears to be part of a broader strategy to weaken Marcos, who has taken a tougher line on China's territorial claims compared to his predecessor. China's efforts to bolster Duterte's political ambitions are not new. In 2020, Meta disclosed that it had dismantled a network originating from China, which had been disseminating content in support of Duterte, especially in standing firm against China's attempts to block resupply missions in the West Philippine Sea, has provoked Beijing's anger.
I call it cognitive warfare, attacking our cognitive processes. The ultimate domain of war, the final domain would be the mind of the individual. And if you could shape how a person would think, then you could now manipulate his actions or his behavior. Cognitive warfare is now being waged against us. We see malign influence. We see misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. We are getting hit across a broad range of the different dimensions of national power.
Experts warned that China's use of local actors, such as bloggers, political supporters, and influencers, to spread disinformation signals a sharper, more aggressive turn in its influence operations in the Philippines. ASPI cautions that Beijing's meddling could escalate in an effort to shift the political landscape in the Philippines in its favor. ASPI also suggests that the Philippines should expand its focus to address the growing threat of cyber-enabled foreign interference and hostile influence in the West Philippine Sea. The warning from ASPI is clear. As China's influence campaigns grow bolder, Manila and its allies must move quickly to shield their democratic institutions from foreign interference. Jamela Alindogan, Insight, BNC.